Mia Rodriguez had always believed in doing the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. At 24, she worked as a cashier at Sunshine Grocers, a bustling supermarket in her small town. Though the job didn't pay much, Mia loved interacting with customers and brightening their days with a warm smile or friendly chat. One chilly Tuesday afternoon, an elderly man shuffled up to her register. His cart was filled with basic necessities: bread, milk, canned goods, but his hands trembled as he pulled out a worn wallet. Mia greeted him warmly, recognizing him as someone who occasionally shopped there. "Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson," she said cheerfully. "How are you today?" The man gave a faint smile but looked troubled. As Mia scanned his items, the total flashed on the screen: $23.76. He hesitated before counting out crumpled bills and coins onto the counter. To Mia's dismay, he came up short by nearly $5. I must have miscalculated," Mr. Thompson muttered, his voice tinged with embarrassment. "Could I put some things back?" Seeing the sadness in his eyes tugged at Mia's heart. She knew how hard it must be for him to stretch every penny just to get by. Without thinking twice, she reached into her own pocket and pulled out a few bills. "It's okay," she said gently. "This one's on me." Mr. Thompson looked startled. "You don't have to do that, dear." "I want to," Mia insisted, handing the money to the cashier till. "Everyone deserves a little help sometimes." Gratitude washed over his face as he thanked her profusely. But unbeknownst to either of them, the store manager, Ms. Carter, had been watching from across the room. Later that evening, as Mia clocked out after her shift, Ms. Carter called her into the office. "Mia, we need to talk about what happened today," the manager began sternly. "I was just trying to help," Mia explained quickly, sensing trouble. "I understand your intentions," Ms. Carter replied coldly, "but company policy is clear. Employees cannot cover customer purchases. You violated protocol, and I'm afraid we can't overlook this." Before Mia could protest, Ms. Carter handed her a termination letter. "You're fired, effective immediately." Shock and disbelief coursed through Mia as she left the building, tears streaming down her face. Helping Mr. Thompson had felt like the right thing to do, but losing her job over it left her devastated. As she walked home under the dim streetlights, clutching her final paycheck, Mia wondered if kindness really did matter, or if the world simply punished those who dared to care too much. What she didn't know was that her simple act of compassion would soon set off a chain reaction neither she nor Mr. Thompson could have anticipated. The days following her dismissal were some of the hardest Mia had ever faced. For the first time in years, she woke up without a purpose, her routine shattered. Sunshine Grocers wasn't just a job. It was how she supported herself and contributed to her community. Now, without an income, every small expense felt like a mountain. Mia tried to stay positive. She updated her resume and applied for jobs at other stores, restaurants, and offices around town. But rejection emails piled up faster than she could send out applications. Each "we regret to inform you" message chipped away at her confidence, leaving her questioning whether helping Mr. Thompson had been worth it. Her savings dwindled quickly. Rent was due in 2 weeks, and her pantry was nearly empty. One evening, as she sat at her kitchen table staring at unpaid bills, tears streamed down her face. What if she couldn't find another job? What if this one act of kindness cost her everything? But even in her darkest moments, small acts of kindness reminded her why she'd chosen to help others in the first place. A neighbor dropped off a basket of fresh vegetables, saying, "I noticed you haven't been shopping much lately." A stranger paid for her coffee at the local cafe when she hesitated at the counter, short on cash. These gestures weren't grand, but they carried weight. They reminded Mia that goodness still existed in the world. Still, doubt lingered. Was being kind only worthwhile if it didn't come at such a high price? One day, while scrolling through social media during a rare moment of rest, Mia stumbled upon a comment thread about her firing. Someone had seen what happened at the store and posted about it online. The post sparked heated debate. Some praised Mia's selflessness, calling her a hero. Others criticized her decision, saying she should have followed the rules. "Why does everyone feel the need to judge me?" Mia muttered aloud, closing her laptop in frustration. She hated feeling like a topic of gossip, especially when she believed she'd done nothing wrong. Her best friend, Elena, stopped by later that evening with takeout and a listening ear. "You're too hard on yourself," Elena said gently as they ate together. "You did something most people wouldn't dare to do. You put someone else's needs ahead of your own. That takes guts." "But look where it got me," Mia replied bitterly. "No job, no money, no future." Elena squeezed her hand. "It's not over yet. Something good will come from this. I know it." Despite her friend's encouragement, Mia struggled to believe things would turn around. Every morning, she forced herself out of bed, determined to keep trying. But hope felt like a distant memory. Then, one rainy afternoon, there was a knock at her door. When Mia opened it, she froze in shock. Standing on her doorstep was Mr. Thompson, holding an umbrella and looking far more composed than the last time she'd seen him. "Mia," he began, his voice warm but tinged with guilt. "May I come in? I owe you an explanation and an apology." Confused but curious, Mia stepped aside to let him enter. As he settled into a chair in her modest living room, she braced herself for what he might say. "I heard about what happened after our encounter at the store," Mr. Thompson admitted, his expression heavy with regret. "If I'd known my mistake would cost you your job, I never would have let you pay for those groceries." "It wasn't your fault," Mia replied softly. "I made the choice to help you. I don't regret that." Mr. Thompson studied her for a long moment, admiration flickering in his eyes. "Even so, I can't stand by and do nothing. Please, let me repay you for everything." Mia hesitated, unsure of what to say. This man seemed harmless enough, but accepting help from a near stranger felt complicated. Before she could respond, Mr. Thompson stood up and handed her a card. "Think about it. I'll be in touch soon." As he left, Mia stared at the business card in her hand. It bore his name, Henry Thompson, and a phone number. Nothing else indicated who he really was or what he intended to do next. For the first time in weeks, Mia felt a spark of curiosity, and perhaps a glimmer of hope over the next few days. Mia couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Thompson's visit. His apology had been sincere, but his insistence on repaying her left her uneasy. What did he mean by repay? And why did he seem so determined to make things right? Her questions deepened when, 3 days later, he called her. "Mia, it's Henry," he said warmly over the phone. "I'd like to meet you tomorrow morning at the park near your apartment. If that's all right with you, of course." Though hesitant, Mia agreed. She needed answers, and maybe, just maybe, a little help wouldn't hurt. The next morning, she found him sitting on a bench overlooking a small pond, feeding ducks with pieces of bread. He looked relaxed and content, wearing a simple jacket and scarf despite the crisp autumn air. "You came?" he said, smiling as she approached. "I did," Mia replied cautiously, sitting beside him. "But I still don't understand why you're doing this. You didn't cause my problems. It was my choice to help you." Henry nodded thoughtfully. "True, but your kindness came at a cost, and I can't ignore that. Let me ask you something. What would you say if I told you I could change your situation?" Mia frowned, unsure where this was going. Change it how? Instead of answering directly, Henry began sharing bits of his own story. He explained that he was once a successful businessman who had retired years ago to focus on philanthropy. Over time, however, he grew disillusioned with people's greed and selfishness. "That day at the store," he continued, "you reminded me of what humanity should be. Your act of kindness, it wasn't calculated or self-serving. It was pure. And it made me realize I haven't been doing enough to give back lately." Mia listened intently, her heart softening. This wasn't the same frail man she'd helped at the register. This was someone wise, thoughtful, and clearly passionate about making a difference. "So, here's what I propose," Henry said firmly. "Let me help you get back on your feet. Pay your rent, cover your bills, whatever you need. No strings attached." Mia's eyes widened in disbelief. I can't accept that. It's too much." "It's not charity," Henry countered gently. Think of it as an investment in someone who deserves it. Someone who reminded me why kindness matters. She shook her head, struggling to process his words. Accepting money from anyone felt wrong, let alone a near stranger. Yet, part of her wondered if refusing his offer would only prove that kindness truly went unrewarded. "What do you want from me in return?" she asked finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Nothing," Henry replied without hesitation. "Except one thing, keep being you. Keep helping others even when it's hard. Because the world needs more people like you, Mia." Tears welled up in her eyes as his words sank in. For weeks, she doubted whether her decision to help him had been worth it. Now, here was someone telling her it was not just worth it but necessary. "Okay," she whispered, nodding slowly. "Thank you." Henry smiled, relief washing over his face. "You won't regret this, Mia. Together, we'll make sure your kindness inspires others." As they parted ways, Mia felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She still didn't know exactly what Henry planned to do, but for the first time since losing her job, she allowed herself to hope. Little did she know, her life was about to change in ways she never imagined over the next week. Henry wasted no time making good on his promise. Mia received a bank transfer covering her overdue rent and utility bills, a sum that left her breathless. Alongside the money was a note. "This is just the beginning. Let's talk about your future." Mia called him immediately, her voice trembling with gratitude and lingering doubt. "Henry, I can't thank you enough for this," she began. "But why are you doing all of this? You barely know me." "I told you," Henry replied calmly. "Your kindness reminded me of what truly matters. And now, I want to help you rebuild. Not just financially, but in every way possible." He invited her to meet him again, this time at a quiet cafe downtown. When Mia arrived, Henry greeted her warmly, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit. For the first time, she noticed something about him. His posture, his composure, the subtle confidence he carried. It hinted at a life far beyond simplicity. As they sat down, Henry leaned forward, his tone serious yet gentle. "There's something I need to tell you, Mia," he said. "Something important." Her heart skipped a beat. Was he about to admit this had all been some elaborate setup? "I'm not just a retired businessman," he continued. "My full name is Henry Thompson III. I founded Thompson Enterprises, a company worth billions. After stepping away from the business world, I dedicated myself to giving back quietly, without fanfare. But meeting you, it changed something in me." Mia stared at him, stunned. The frail man she'd helped at the grocery store, the same one now sitting across from her, was a billionaire? "I didn't tell you before because I wanted you to see me as a person, not a title," Henry explained. "And I didn't help you because of my wealth. It's because of you. Your compassion inspired me to do more." Mia struggled to process everything. This revelation shifted her understanding of their encounter entirely. She wasn't just helping an elderly man struggling to afford groceries. She was unknowingly inspiring someone who could change lives, including hers. "But why me?" she asked finally, her voice soft. "You could have chosen anyone else to support." "Because you gave when you had nothing to spare," Henry replied passionately. "Most people wait until they're comfortable before helping others, but you acted selflessly, even when it cost you dearly. That's rare, Mia. And it deserves recognition." He paused, studying her reaction carefully. "I don't expect anything in return, but I do have a proposal. Let me fund your dreams, whatever they may be. Whether it's going back to school, starting a business, or simply stabilizing your life, consider it my way of honoring your courage." Tears filled Mia's eyes as his words sank in. Part of her still felt uneasy accepting such generosity, fearing judgment or dependency. Yet another part of her realized this was bigger than her. It was about proving that kindness mattered. "What if," she started hesitantly, "what if we used your resources to help others too? To set up programs for families in need? Or mentor young people who struggle like I did?" Henry's face lit up with pride. "That's exactly what I hoped you'd say. Together, we'll create opportunities. Not just for you, but for everyone around us. For the first time since losing her job, Mia felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about fixing her problems, it was about amplifying her impact. By the end of their conversation, they had sketched out plans for a community initiative aimed at supporting struggling families. Henry agreed to fund it while Mia would lead the project, ensuring it stayed grounded in empathy and authenticity. As they parted ways, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that her small act of kindness had sparked something extraordinary. One decision to help a stranger had unraveled a chain reaction neither she nor Henry could have predicted. And this was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, Mia and Henry worked tirelessly to bring their vision to life. They called it the Sunshine Fund, named after the grocery store where their paths first crossed. The initiative aimed to support struggling families in the community by providing essentials like food, clothing, and temporary financial assistance. But more than that, it sought to restore hope, to remind people that kindness still existed in the world. Mia threw herself into the project with a passion she hadn't felt in years. She spent her days organizing donations, coordinating volunteers, and meeting with local businesses to secure partnerships. Henry handled the logistics, using his connections and resources to ensure everything ran smoothly. Together, they made an unstoppable team. One of their first major efforts was hosting a free community dinner at the local recreation center. Families who had been quietly suffering, skipping meals or stretching paychecks to make ends meet, were invited to enjoy a warm meal without judgment. Volunteers served plates piled high with roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and fresh vegetables, while children played games set up in a nearby corner. As Mia moved through the crowd, greeting attendees and sharing stories, she noticed how much lighter everyone seemed. Laughter echoed through the room, replacing the usual weight of worry. For many, this was the first time in months they'd felt seen and valued. Afterward, one woman approached Mia with tears in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. "This is the first real meal my kids have had in weeks." Mia hugged her tightly, her own eyes welling up. "You don't have to thank me. Just promise me one thing. When you're able, pay it forward." The woman nodded, clutching Mia's hand before walking away. Moments like these reminded Mia why she'd chosen this path, even when it cost her dearly. But not everyone was supportive. Some friends and neighbors whispered behind her back, accusing her of exploiting Henry's wealth for personal gain. Others questioned whether the Sunshine Fund was sustainable or even necessary. "People will always find reasons to criticize," Henry told her one evening as they reviewed plans for future projects. "Don't let them dim your light, Mia. What we're doing here, it matters." His words strengthened her resolve. She knew the work wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Every family helped, every child fed, every parent relieved of stress. It all added up to something greater than any criticism. Meanwhile, Henry encouraged Mia to pursue her own dreams alongside the fund. When she mentioned wanting to return to school to study social work, he offered to cover her tuition and childcare costs. "I can't accept that," Mia protested initially. "I already owe you so much." "You don't owe me anything," Henry countered firmly. "This is your chance to grow, to become the leader this community needs. Let me help you get there." Reluctantly, Mia agreed. With Henry's support, she enrolled in night classes, balancing her studies with running the Sunshine Fund. It wasn't easy, but she thrived on the challenge, knowing each step brought her closer to making a lasting difference. As months passed, the Sunshine Fund grew into a beacon of hope for the community. Local media picked up the story, shining a spotlight on Mia's journey from cashier to changemaker. People began donating time, money, and resources, inspired by her resilience and Henry's generosity. Through it all, Mia never forgot the lesson she'd learned that fateful day at the grocery store. Kindness, no matter how small, could spark change far beyond what she imagined years later. Mia stood on a stage in front of hundreds of people, her heart swelling with gratitude. The Sunshine Fund had grown into a nationwide movement, supporting families in need and inspiring communities to come together. Tonight, they were celebrating its 5th anniversary and honoring the woman who had started it all. As she looked out at the crowd, Mia spotted Henry sitting in the front row, smiling proudly. Though he was older now, his presence still commanded respect and admiration. Beside him sat Elena, Lily, the single mother Mia had once helped, and countless others whose lives had been touched by the Sunshine Fund. Mia took a deep breath before beginning her speech. "When I lost my job at Sunshine Grocers, I thought my life was over," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I questioned whether doing the right thing, helping someone in need, was worth the cost. But then I met Mr. Henry Thompson, a man who reminded me that kindness isn't just an act. It's a ripple that spreads farther than we can see." She paused, glancing at Henry. "Together we built something incredible, not because of money or power, but because of compassion. Because when we choose to care for one another, even in the smallest ways, we create a chain reaction of hope." The audience erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. For Mia, this moment wasn't about recognition. It was about reminding everyone present that they, too, had the power to make a difference. After the event, as Mia mingled with attendees, she noticed a young cashier from a nearby grocery store approach her nervously. "Ms. Rodriguez?" the girl said timidly. "I just wanted to say thank you. Your story inspired me to keep going, even when things get tough." Mia smiled warmly, recognizing herself in the girl's wide eyes and hesitant demeanor. "You're already doing the hard part," Mia replied. "Just keep choosing kindness no matter what. Trust me. It'll lead you somewhere amazing." That night, as Mia walked home under the same stars that had witnessed her struggles years ago, she reflected on how far she'd come. Her journey hadn't been easy, but every challenge had shaped her into the person she was today. And through it all, she'd learned one undeniable truth: kindness always finds its way back to you. Henry joined her for a quiet moment on her porch, the two of them gazing up at the sky. "You've changed the world, Mia," he said softly, "and I'm honored to have played a small part in your story." Mia shook her head, smiling. "No, Henry, you gave me a chance to change mine, and I'll never forget that." As they sat together in comfortable silence, Mia realized their partnership had become more than just friendship. It was proof that even the most unlikely connections could transform lives, including their own. And so, the ripple of kindness continued, spreading outward and touching hearts across generations. One act of compassion had sparked a legacy, one that would endure long after Mia and Henry were gone. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to share it with friends and family. Let us know in the comments. What's the kindest thing you've ever done or received? Your stories inspire us to keep creating tales that matter.